Let's go to the screen. Yes, we'll run through what servant leadership is. Mostly I said from Dr. Larry, he is somebody who is very, very important because he works in Greenfields, center. Greenfield Center, yes, I have told you, is Greenfield is the one who had initiated servant leadership first. So we'll see about that. I don't know how to pull this slide a little bit, but let's go on. Now, Larry Spears is very, very important. He was the former president of Robert K. Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership. When people talk about servant leadership, no one can really do away without the name of this person. Okay, can you see this? Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Robert K. Greenleaf is the person who had initiated what we call servant leadership. That's why this book is also very important. The power of servant leadership. This is extremely good books, and this will be, I'm sure, available in India also.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I have another book. This one.
What is it? Show it to us. Greenleaf.
No, sir. David Lindy.
Okay. I'm talking about as of now. Greenleaf. Greenleaf is the founder of servant leadership, and we are all learning from his center. So Larry Spears is very, very important person because he was the former president of Robert Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership. That's why yesterday I have shown you all these 10 characteristics from that center. And most of you have talked about listening, empathy, awareness, persuasion is influence, and also some of you talk about foresight, stewardship, teamwork. So what of this healing and building community was not talked about. Anyway, I just want to keep it here. I cannot go through detail because there are some other things I wanted to go in detail. All these things will be available to you. So keep in mind, I'm taking these slides only from Larry C. Spears. Okay, these are not my invention. Then later on, I'll be doing some of my own work presenting. Servant leaders is, someone doing something, not for something for him, but for his own team people. So that's why the Bible. I'd like to take some Bible portions for us so that we'll be very clear that we are talking about servant leadership, not only from Greenleaf Foundation or Center of Leadership, but based on biblical perspective and biblical base. So Mark chapter 10, verse 42 to 45, Jesus called them to him and said to him, "You know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them." See, they overload them. They give them burden rather than lifting their burden. And their great ones exercise authority over them. There's some sound, some children sound I hear, some sound. Okay, you can mute it. "But it shall not be so among you," he said. Gentile leaders always would like to rule over the people. They lord them, they overload them always. But for you, it should not be like that. Jesus himself had said it. So he said, "But whoever would be great among you must be your servant." See, one thing we need to know about is, we'll see when Greenleaf started about the servant leadership. Since when seminaries and Christian organizations started talking about servant leadership. Even though they put authorship of servant leadership to Greenleaf, Jesus had already started in the first century, okay, of his ministry. That you need to keep in mind always. Jesus is the author of servant leadership. Then when we come to the marks of servant leadership, you'll see that God had initiated itself in the Old Testament. So he said, some children are crying. Somebody has to mute their mobile or laptop. But whoever would be great among you must be servant. And whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. See? Not only servant doulos, he talked about even the slave. For even the Son of Man come not to serve, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. That is the one of the very good verse, for servant leadership. Then in the next verse, in the last verse, it said, the Son of Man came not to be served, you see, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. The problem of present leadership, pastors and senior pastors in contemporary churches, there is still some sound. Will you mute your computers, please? It is disturbing. Please mute your laptops so that you can hear my voice only, okay? Some voices are coming all the time. I hear some children crying, maybe neighbors or I don't know. So let me repeat again. In the present Christian setup, many leaders and pastors in mega churches, live like king size. They'll ask people to bring money, to bring cars, to bring so many, things. And they'll live according to the way they enjoy it. They wanted to be served. The way they serve to the people is mostly through their preaching skills. But Jesus said very clearly, recorded in other gospel also, he said, even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Yesterday, some of you had said about, the leader must have the commitment and the sacrificial mind. That was very, very important. Then 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 3, not domineering over those in your church, but being example to the flock. Unknowingly, all the time, dominating people is very, very easy. But the Bible said, don't dominate. Yesterday, I think it was Serto who said this repeatedly, domineering. It is actually from 1 Peter, okay, chapter 5, verse 3. Not domineering over those in your charge, people who are walking with you, under you, but being example to the flock, which is more powerful in the skill of leadership. Then let us take some more Bible verses. Acts 20, verse 35. In all things I have shown you that, by working hard in this way, we must help the weak. See, not to push down the weak. And remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Leadership, servant leadership is giving out, serving to the team, to the organization. That's why he said it is more blessed to give in terms, not only in terms of money. He's talking in terms of, service, serving other people, the weaker people. So it is more blessed to give than to receive. If some of you have already experienced the joy of giving, I'm really grateful for that. During this, 6 months of pandemic, we have seen many people in want of food, even our own people, our church members. I have seen several people doing good job in helping others. Share what you have to people who do not have. And that joy is what we call it joy indestructible. Receive something and you'll be very happy. That joy will be momentary. That's why the Bible is so rich. It says it's more blessed to give than to receive. Many people like billionaire Bill Gates would like to give out his money, minimum 10 millions to India alone. Why? He loved, people living with HIV/AIDS, then the reward being, very, very blessing to him. No one can repay him back the money that he had given to the poor people, but the joy that he received is immense. That is what Mother Teresa always says, give until it hurts. We give to God because we are not hurting ourselves. We give away something that will not hurt our budget. But Mother Teresa said, give until it hurts. That's very, very good. Second one, can you see the second Bible verse? Luke 22:26. But not so with you. This is the same one from Mark we have read it. But rather let the greatest among you become, yes, the youngest, and the leader is one who serves. Very, very clear. In leadership, I don't know how many leadership seminars and workshops we have done among the Northeast India Christian leaders. Even during my full service time, active service time, we have organized so many organizations, seminars and workshops on leadership. I don't know how many changes it had really given, impacted. Hebrews 13:7. Remember your leaders, those who spoke to you the word of God. Consider the outcome of their way of life and imitate their faith. That is the importance of a servant leader. You are supposed to be imitated by other people. Okay. You are supposed to be somebody who has to be looked up. That's why Hebrews 13:7 give very much importance to leadership. Some more we'll see here. Philippians 2:3-8. These things will not come, in that book, Greenleaf book. Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but with humility. Yesterday, several of you talks about humility. But in humility, count others more significant than yourself. That is the most important one. Very difficult to count other people, how they are more significant than us. I just wanted to have feedback from you all. How can we count other people more important than ourselves? Would you like to talk a little bit about this? Just a word or two. The Bible said, in humility, count others more significant than yourself. How do you understand this? Tell me. Jagsangma, are you going to tell me how you feel about this? How do you significant? How can we count other people more important than us? Let's see our secrets.
Yeah. When it comes to pastoral work, it's always people first. I mean, the believers first. So we do serve people more than our family needs or our own needs. Sometimes even we need to left our sick child or children or even wife, if they are sick, we have to let them and do some church service or church ministry in order to minister to them. So that's something, sometimes it's very challenging. Yeah, it's very challenging.
Somebody
That's also.
else? Who else are coming? Johnny Ring Pome. I can see it's only Johnny. How do you feel about, counting others more significant than ourselves? Is it really possible?
Uh, it is not so easy, but it is depend on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
For some people it is not possible, and only but for few people it is possible. Like a greatest leaders in the world, they count others more significant than themselves. But as a majority, this is not easy, not possible.
Mm. Did you feel that some of your church leaders and pastors are doing this? Do they feel that they are least important and others are more important, more
I
significant?
I don't think they, this is they give important, but we always give important first ourselves,
Very
ours,
true.
which is
Very true. Anyone else before I go ahead? Any would like to add to those thoughts? Okay. One way of doing is, when we wanted to count other people more important or more significant than us, we always look at people who we thought could be above us. Okay? Maybe some more senior people, some directors, some secretaries or executive secretary or whatever they are. When we think about people who will be more significant than us, it is those people who come into our mind. Actually, one of the best way, which I wanted to tell you in a practical way, is that even the least staff among yourself, or somebody, a driver or a sweeper in your church or in your organization, you look at those people. You can look at those people and find out the qualities that they have, which is better than yours, or even some qualities you do not have. You got my point? Many of the people who are lower than you, whom you did not regard much, will have better, quality than you. This is possible. Some of the team who are more junior than you will be praying much more than you. One of my junior friend who is very big government officer who retired, he sent and text me and say, I have read through the Bible this year 11 times. That is something I feel amazed. So I told him that is wonderful. An example for many young people and many people, I say. He was a very big government officer, head department in a very major department, retired just about a couple of months ago. And he had read through the Bible, the Holy Bible. He said, from cover to cover, I have read through the Bible 11 times this year. See, look at the people, not in a very critical way. Look at the people and try to see what are their, good qualities. Then you'll be able to really admire and see how people are really trying to do their best to be, servant of the Lord or to be a disciple. So not only somebody who is on top of us, we have to look at people even whom we thought are much below than us, and you'll see good qualities which you don't have. Then that will make you grow. Then he continued, let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interests of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus. This verse was very, very important because of his humility, because of his humbleness. He become, he was, what do you call, made very, very significant. A king who wanted to be very insignificant, the lowliest of the lowliest, but he was such a humble leader that God had glorified him more than anyone else on this earth. Matthew 20:26, it says, "It shall not be so among you, but whoever would be great among you must be your servant." It is the upside down, okay, leadership, not the right side up. No one in secular world will tell you that you must be servant. They said you must be leader. You must be the manager. You must be in control. These are what they say. So we do not have whiteboard here, and I do not know how to really do it, but just listen carefully what Philippians chapter 3 verse 5:8 means. I'm going to ask you one question. When Christ become like, when Christ become humble, what did he become? Now answer. Give me the answer. When Christ humbled himself, what did he become?
He became God man, man God.
He became man God. Then the question is, when man humbled himself, what did he become? Tell me. Now, when Christ humbled himself, the Bible said he became man, like man. But then when man and or woman becomes humble, what did he or she become?
We become like Christ.
You become like
Christ character.
Christ. Okay, that's very good. Many people say, for example, one preacher who is no more, but I have to mention his name. Very popular preacher, powerful preacher from Mizoram who came to Chanpur. He said, "I'm Jesus." He said, "I'm Christ." Thousands of people follow him. But he fell in his theology. When Christ humbled himself, he became like man, born of a human being, born of a woman. But when human being, man or woman, humble themselves like Jesus humbles, they become Christ-like. Okay? That is the way they are being lifted up spiritually, and then they become what you call it, very, very significant leader. Being insignificant to significant. Being less important and serving the lowest status of people to being very important. That is what Christ-likeness is. Okay, we need to keep that in mind. Theology, wrong theology will come. Many people said in Africa also keep that in mind. Why so many cults had come out? They said, "I am Jesus, I am Christ." Just because you humble and you can do something and you can perform miracle doesn't mean that you become Christ. No, at the most you can become Christ-like. Okay? And Paul is very, very important. I just wanted to tell you, I had not written down. You try to write it down. Paul first said, "I was born in the wrong time." Okay? In his first letter, Corinthian. Then second time he said, "I am Lesser than the least means the second level. I'm smaller than the smallest. Grammatically wrong, not possible. See, his humility level had come down. Born in the wrong place, but still one of the disciples, apostles. Then he came down to the second level. Rather than going up, he said, I am lesser than the least. So he started saying like Moses, I am nobody. Okay. Then in the third, in Timothy, in his letter, he said, it is worthy to believe that Jesus was sent to save the world, for the sinners, of which I am the chief. Keep that in mind. In his final letter, he said, I am chief of sinners. When he realized his iniquities, shortcomings, once he humbled himself, he sees himself so insignificant. And, the image of Christ was much more clearer in his life. So he said, I'm chief of sinners. People who would like to call themselves chief of sinners will not quarrel with other people. They will not have an ego. All things are gone. That is interesting part of sermon leadership. These are also my word. You can note down if you want. You have said this, some of you. You have to put others first. Okay, not yourself. It's so difficult. If I work, my salary is for me and my family. Why should I care about others? Let them take care of themselves. But in a servant leadership, you have to put others first. Then another slide I put here is, being a servant leader means putting the interests of others above your own. Somebody had said yesterday, it's fantastic. Then another thing I put here is pay the cost, not just reaping. Many leaders, unfortunately, many Christian workers, many gospel singers, many worship leaders wanted to reap something out of what they do. We need not expect anything in return, and doing things without expecting anything in return is really sacrificial service. Jesus had done that. Helping the poor will never return anything to you. I know I have a pastor friend who is not very rich. Every winter in the city of Guwahati, he'll go around and cover people who are not warm enough with new blankets. See? What do you expect by doing that? Nothing. So we need to tell others and ourselves that servant leadership is paying the cost by us, not reaping. Okay, not attempting to reap. That is what Jesus was doing. He paid all the costs. Why do we refuse to pay the cost? Many leaders don't want to be vulnerable. This is important. When something is wrong, somebody has to wrong. In political leadership, when something goes wrong, the minister never go behind bars. Somebody who is in the lower strata will always get punished or transferred. This is not in the case of servant leadership. You should be willing to be vulnerable. Put yourself ahead of your team. Protect your team members if you are a team leader. Protect your colleagues in the teamwork. Then you'll be vulnerable and people will know how much you mean to them. I put be people friendly, John Maxwell had a book, Be Pro People. That is more or less the same, but For me, the wording is more, direct when I said, be people friendly. We have to be people friendly. Jesus was the most people friendly servant leader. Learn to lead from the heart. One lady said yesterday that was very, very good. We have to lead from the heart. We have to be very serious in our talk. And this is from Robert Greenleaf. This you have to note it very carefully, okay? Robert Greenleaf is the first who coined the phrase servant leadership in his 1970 essay. In 1970, he had written a very, very powerful essay which is called the servant as a leader. That was in 1970. And that was the first time people started hearing about servant leadership. Okay. However, it is an approach that people have used for centuries. So you need to keep in mind, even though in the book form, Robert Greenleaf is the first person who had written servant leadership. But this servant leadership, even though the wording, the phrase is not developed, people have been using this centuries ago. Keep that in mind. We are looking from the Bible also later on. According to him, this is what servant leadership is. He said, there are 4 steps to develop into better servant leader. He has so many others, but these are the key things, from him. Encourage diversity of thought. Okay. Be willing to collect different thoughts and ideas from your team. This is very, very interesting. Leaders should be open to receive diversity of thoughts, how others people are thinking about on such certain issues. Then again he said, some of you had said this yesterday, I know. I have noted it down. Create a culture of trust. Excellent. Servant leadership is building trust. If you want to be trusted, they say, trust other people first. So you have to create a culture of trust within your church, within your leadership. That is very, very important. Another one is, he said, have an unselfish mindset. Unknowingly, people can be very, very selfish. It happens. Unless people continue to learn about servant leadership and read about the lifestyle of Jesus Christ, unknowingly, you'll become selfish. Your mindset will be selfish. You'll think about for yourself only. So, servant leadership, according to Greenleaf, is that we have to be intentional in our mindset that we should not be selfish. Okay. Then, not only being humble. Servant leadership is not just being humble and to be lowly, but he said, foster leadership in others. You have to identify leaders who are potential leaders. You have to build leaders. That is very, very important. I don't know whether I have said this. In 2018, we have one workshop for church leaders where more than 80 people attended. one denomination, association. Then the executive secretary came and said, there are some person who wanted to have time with you during the break. I said, what happened? Any problem? He said, they just want to meet you, you'll go ahead and you'll know them. You know, when I met them, they said, we wanted to take group photo with you. 12 pastors, some are not too young, some are still very young. They said, you know, I was very embarrassed. They said, sir, we are all encouraged by you to be in a full-time ministry. You are the one who had brought us into the full-time ministry, and we wanted to have a photograph with you. That is very interesting, you know. Foster leadership in others. Try to build people. Then you'll be extremely happy when you see some people whom you have coached, whom you have brought into the ministry, coming into that level. You'll be much happier than anyone else. So foster leadership, I would like to put it not foster leadership, fostering leadership, okay, of others is important. Then here also he said, Greenleaf said, putting your team first and yourself second. This is very biblical. Then the most important Bible verse that people will quote about servant leadership is John 13:12-15. You should be knowing this. This is about the washing of his feet of the disciples. He said, do you understand what I have done this to you? He himself said, why did I do this? He said, you call me teacher and Lord. And you are right. For so I am. If I, then your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. See? Trend setting is a leader's duty. Set a trend in an organization where you go so that people will follow it. He said, for I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you. I have told you my national director, the longest serving national director in World Vision of India. He had taught us 3 important things. Keep in mind, the 10 that he had left for us, his legacy is accountability in finance. To be honest, even on, according to him, 5 pies. We all learn from him. So one of my director, my boss, later on my good friend, Dr. M.Th, he told me, Songate, we are very lucky because we have not misappropriated even 1 rupee, he told me. You know, can you say that? We have not misappropriated till the end even 1 rupee, he said. You know, Dr. M.Th. He has 3 sons, 2 sons and 1 daughter. And 1 daughter is a doctor in USA. 1 son is, a doctor in CMC Vellore. His wife is also a doctor. Then later on they resign and work in a field, very, very interior as missionaries. Then his youngest son is engineer. He's very successful. One day he called me and said, Brother Songate, we have to be very happy to God because we have not misappropriated even 1 rupee. You know, these are the things, the 10 that they left. He said, Jesus said, I have washed your feet. You also do like this to one another. 10 setting. That is very, very important. Do you think you will be willing to wash the feet of others. Do you think it will be easy to wash the feet of others? Have you washed anyone's feet? Or did somebody wash your feet already? Feet washing?
No, sir.
No.
Not yet.
You know, it will be very embarrassed if people started washing your feet.
Yes, sir. In today's culture, especially.
Even if, you know, you attempt to wash some other people, they'll be very embarrassed also. But when Pope John Paul washed the feet of what is that? Some of the senior leaders of Roman Catholic, and saw in the TV many Indians are crying. Humility is always more powerful than authority. That we need to know. Humility always won the battle. That is, you know, what Jesus had done. See, I put it here. Servant leadership is not a leadership style or technique. Okay? Rather, it is a way of behaving that you adopt over the longer term. There are many young leaders who are very arrogant initially, but they behave very differently at the later part of their lives. Okay? This is possible for anyone. So it complements democratic leadership styles. You know, and it has similarity with transformational leadership, which is often the most effective style to use in business situation also. That's very, very important. But the loophole is the last point. However, servant leadership is problematic in hierarchical, autocratic cultures where managers and leaders are expected to make all decisions. Many are doing like that. Indian governments are doing that. Bureaucratic means you will handle everything and you'll be asked to do whatever you wanted to do. Not whatever they wanted you to do, not what you wanted to do. That's why servant leadership is sometimes, you know, a hindrance for some organization. Yesterday, one of you talked about listening. One or two of you. You remember? Who said that?
I also said, sir.
You said, no? Yeah, about 1, 2, or 3 of you said listening. See, Larry Spears is very, very well-known, you know, servant leaders because he was the director of that, you know, center. Just look at what he said. Leaders have traditionally been valued for their communication and decision-making skills. Although these are also important skills for the servant leader, they need to be reinforced by deep commitment to listening intently to others. Got that? The last part of the sentence, keep that in mind. Communication is very good, and it is decision-making power, but he said they need to be reinforced by a deep commitment to listening intently to others. Yesterday, some of you said that listening is important. We need to listen to people. That is the power of, you know, servant leadership. Jesus intently listened to people. God listened to all our prayers. You know, how many people will pray and ask all sorts of things, funny things, you know, all, you know, unnecessary things. God listened. Jesus listened. Servant leaders listen. So the servant leader seeks to identify the will of a group and helps to clarify that will. Okay. He or she listens receptively to what is being said and unsaid. Listening also encompasses hearing one's own inner voice. See, that is the beauty of listening. Listening coupled with periods of reflection is essential to the growth and well-being of servant leader. You know, when I was CEO in NACORD, we have Silver Jubilee celebration. And I have gone to the governor for 2-3 times ago. He asked me to go there again and again. He was very lonely. He lost his wife. He was alone there. Then when we go, he said, please don't go, let's have red tea again, you know, again and again. He asked me to draft what will be his message on the Silver Jubilee of NACORD. Okay, I said, I drafted, I gave him. On the day, a lot of VIPs came. At the time, you know, Didi Lapong was the chief minister. A lot of head departments also came, we invited. Big groups of dignitaries. Then when the governor started talking about development and rural development, importance of uplifting the poor people, he became overexcited. He left the note. He had gone beyond what I have drafted and started saying all sorts of things. So we are just looking at one another and we are smiling. Then the chief minister also came, spoke. But Friday Lingdo, who is no more, was also a cabinet minister. He also spoke. Then, you know, several other people spoke. And I also stood up and spoke on that day. We all enjoyed. People from Delhi, you know, South, they came there. All good friends, CEOs of organization are invited. Then we are so happy at night, in the evening. My team come together, we praise together, and we pray together, thanking God that the program was very successful. The next morning, we are in the office. You know what my secretary did to me? She's a lady. It's very odd. We are sitting together as a staff, a team, in my room. She came straight to me and took out my pen from my coat. Johnny, can you remember what I said? Can you remember what I said? Is it okay? You are not able to remember me? You are not able to remember, listen. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Then when my secretary came in there, she she removed that pen from my coat pocket, front pocket. She took it out the pen. My pen was, you know, this 5 rupees or 10 rupees dot pen, which they'll give you in any conference training that you go. She said, sir, we are very proud of you yesterday. You share the dice with the governor, the chief minister, and when you talk and share about the concerns of our ministry, we all appreciate it. But there is one thing that we are not happy about, you see, say, and that is this pen, ball pen. You know, she said, you are among such a big dignitaries and you are carrying a dot pen in your coat, she told me, you know. That is wrong. So she removed that pen, you know, very cheap pen. We call it workshop pen, you know, in any workshop they'll give you. Then she gave me very expensive pen and put it in my pocket. From now on, never go to such big meeting with dot pen, she told me. I listened to her. Some people will be offended. Who are you to tell me, you know? So from that day onward, when I go for some meetings or when I go to the church, I'm not using this 10 rupees pen anymore. I put more expensive pen here. Okay. Listening is very, very important. That is a way of learning for us. Can you see this? Can you? Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay.
We can see.
You talk about empathy.
Yes, 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 sir.
As we'll be giving you this one, we'll stop it because we talked about yesterday. Healing we have not touched yesterday. Healing is very, very important. Even Greenleaf had said that. You know, we as servant leader need to heal our hearts. When somebody hurts us, we have to heal. When you hurt somebody, you have to heal. So here in the last part of the second point, Greenleaf writes, this is beautiful. There is something subtle communicated to one who is being served and led. If implicit in the compact between servant leader and led, means the follower, okay, is the understanding that the search for wholeness is something they share. Wholeness includes healing. You have to make people whole. You have to make people healing. Okay. Awareness, you talk about this. He also said awareness is not giver of solace. He said, it is a disturber and an awakener. Able leaders are usually sharply awake and reasonably disturbed. You have to be disturbed. You should allow yourself to be disturbed by your team. They are not seekers after solace. They have their own inner serenity. It is important that we should be aware of our surroundings. Yesterday we talked. Persuasion, he put it here, but we have talked about influence. So we'll leave it. Conceptualization is not only thinking what you are thinking now, okay? You should be able to conceptualize your situation and on the issues. Within organization, conceptualization is by its very nature a key role of boards of trustees or directors. Unfortunately, board can sometimes become involved in day-to-day. This is involving our work with someone's duty. That is not good, what we have always said. Once we delegate, we have to give people the right to talk, the right to decide, and then we have to see. Foresightness, I think, did we say this yesterday?
Yeah, some
I
vision.
said, sir.
Foresightness, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll go ahead. Team, we talk about this, right? No one can do things alone, whether he's a CEO or a director general or whatever it is everyone's job. Commitment to the growth of people, this is the most important one in servant leadership. My people has to grow, your team member has to grow. This one, I think we almost touch, but not directly. Keep note of that. Building community. Don't build your denominations. Don't build your neighbors, your family only. Don't try to get money fund for your family only. Build the whole community, the whole tribe, the whole area. So those 10 characteristics are very, very important. Now I want to go quickly to another slide. I'm taking a book from a book called Mark Boom. I did not take all what he said, but though I put it some of my own ideas, but marks of servant leader is very, very important, and we're going to have assignment based on this. Okay. Just look at this. What are the marks of servant leadership? Can you read?
Yeah.
Read quietly, read quietly. The traits that we look at the leader is very, very important. Based on marks of servant leadership, based on this, he is going to put only 5. There are much more than this if you want to study. You can note down, at least the head, or if you are going to give you by the director or the principal, that's fine. Number 1, he said, Mark Boom said, a servant leader seeks the glory of his master. You have to be aware of that. Nowadays, look at many of these preachers. They serve themselves. Okay? So a servant leader seeks the glory of his master. That's what Mark Boom said. You can note down the Bible verses. Then we'll go to the next one. A servant leader sacrificially seeks the highest joy of those he serves. That's why they said, enjoy people. Okay? If you are not really enjoying the people who are around you, being surrounded by those people, if you are not enjoying, then your life is terribly wrong. Right? Servant leader sacrificially seeks the highest joy of those he serves. Look around the happiness, the well-being of those people around you. A servant leader will forego his rights rather than obscure the gospel. Foregoing rights. The West people are becoming, very uncontrollable because of rights issue. Children, when they are in high school, they said, it is my rights to go out. It is my rights. Then rights become the most important one. So they can do whatever they feel like doing. But a servant leader will forego his rights rather than obscure the gospel. Paul said, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them. This is servant. There are many more. Let's see the 4th one. A servant leader is not preoccupied with personal visibility and recognition. If you are looking only visibility, if you are looking only for your recognition, then that is not a servant leadership. Okay? You look at John the Baptist. You are going to have an assignment on this. A servant leader anticipates and graciously accepts the time for his decrease. Do you understand the point here? A servant leader anticipates and graciously accepts the time for his decrease. Many people refuse to resign, to retire. They want to hang on. Even when they are 65, they want to hang on. They want to continue to be the leader. They do politics. That is not leadership. Servant leader need to know that your time will end. Any leader should know that your term will end and somebody else should come. That tendency has to be respected. Conclusion, be gracious with your leaders. We need to try to enjoy people who are on top of us. Servant leader. If they are not good, we have to pray for them. Rather than confronting, we have to put forward those issues. Okay. This is the vast majority of our leaders are imperfect servants trying to be faithful. Keep that in mind. what John Bloom said is very, very important. When you see some people who are not really qualified, keep that in mind. Many of our leaders are imperfect servants, but trying to be faithful. You are not faithful, you are not complete person, but you would like to be complete person. You would like to improve. So we cannot just set aside people, or we cannot just hate people for who they are, what they are, because they are also trying their best. Keep that in mind. John Bloom is this one. Okay, now another one, Mark Boom. Okay, we have seen from also John. What do you think about a servant leader seeks the glory of master? As far as you understand, do you feel that you are really seeking the glory of your master, or rather your organization, or rather your own self? Can you be honest as servant leader? Tell me, are we honest enough in attempting to glorify our master through our seminary, to our association, to our local church, or to your personal ministry? But the long-term plan for a servant is that once I achieve my master degrees in theology or my doctorate in theology, this will be for me, but later on for the glory of God. You know, this is what I wanted, because as of now, for students, you may say that you wanted to glorify your master, the one who called me, who called you. But then, we are studying for ourselves. We are gathering for ourselves, isn't it? That's why I'm asking you. This is a big challenge among senior leaders. Reputation is so important, We want our image, we want our reputation to be improved. We want the organization to be the best. When you work in Christian NGO, you want your NGO to be the biggest in terms of finance, in terms of spreading the messages, in terms of having more fund, highest budget, several crores. These are always unintentionally, unknowingly, the organization or self always comes first. That's why for many leaders, number one is very, very difficult. It is a challenge. How do you all feel about it? Are you really seeking the glory of your master? That's how we are going to study tomorrow and next week, when you study about the life of Abraham and the life of Joseph. Okay, these are the best on these books. We go back to number 2. How do you feel about this? Is it really true in our life? To be honest, that is how we have to internalize, as we are trying to be a leader. Just knowing is very easy. Is it your joy to serve other people sacrificially? Would it be really your joy when we walk that, serving others is your greatest joy, rather than serving your own personal gain and interest? A servant leader will forego his rights rather than obscure the gospel. Will the gospel be more important, or your image will be more important? Or your rights? This is my right, my salary, my what do we call, my PF. There are so many fights in Christian organization. There are many court cases in Christian organization because of the rights issue. Right is not really right in the servant leader study. So these are the things we have to look at it. The fourth one, a servant leader is not preoccupied with personal visibility and recognition. See, it is very close to number one. We wanted to be very visible as an organization. We wanted to be very visible as a leader in our organization. But the Bible says, and this guy says, a servant leader is not preoccupied with personal visibility and recognition. Then what are we doing? If I don't want visibility, I don't want recognition, then why do I serve? The purpose is Jesus. You know, that is the in-depth of servant leadership. This one we have shared. Many leaders did not really want to retire. They said, I have not seen a good substitute. My junior I still have to learn. I cannot retire. If I retire, organization will suffer. Some people need some more years to grow. You know, these are the things. Many servant, children of God, will be always complaining, backbiting their leaders. But servant leader quality is being gracious with their leaders. They may have, their shortcomings. Based on these things, I want you to really study the life of Abraham and Joseph.
Sir, Joseph or Joshua?
No. Abraham and Joseph.
Joseph.
Yes. Now you get what we wanted to do. You know now, no?
Joshua is his giving example.
Joshua, I'll be giving myself.
Ah.
So based on these things, you can always try to find out. Then we have seen another one also. Where was that?
What is taken, right?
We have seen about these things also. Based on this, what are the listening power? What are the empathy, the healing, the awareness, persuasion, conception? Are these items also available in the lives of Abraham, in the life of Joseph? You can see about that. All those things you have found out yesterday, try to find out in the life of those people, those two characters. Then you will be able to see from the servant side, who they are, what they are, and what they have been doing. You got the point now? Are you clear how you are going to do it? Yes. It is not difficult. Simply find out the servant qualities of Abraham and also Joseph.
Sir, is there any page limit?
No, you don't need to. You can write, but you have to share here. You have to share to the group what you have written. Normally, I don't want.
Okay.
I don't want more than 2 pages for the two characters. You can write 1 page, A4 square. If it is print very shortly, in a very short form, with like bold headings. Abraham has this quality. Abraham has this servant quality. The characteristic is found in Abraham here. In Joseph or Joshua here. Simplified it. That's why I don't want you to write an essay type. Just find out the points, the quality, and the characteristic of servant leaders in these two. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Right? Clear, no? I think our time has
yeah.
gone. Anything else?
Sir, this is Monday, right?
Yeah, on Monday.
Okay.
Now it's clear, every one of you.
Yes, sir, it's clear.